Hello lovely people! Did you know that half of all people experience back pain each year and that 264 million workdays are lost each year due to back pain? That's an American statistic because the internet is Americentric. That's a real word. I'm surprised too. Also surprising, back pain is the single leading cause of disability. Less surprising, many causes of back pain remain undiagnosed. Fortunately, I know what causes my back pain: two 45-degree curves in the wrong direction of my back. Unfortunately, that doesn't actually make it go away. I've been dealing with back pain since around 12 years of age, and it's incredibly boring. Honestly, after living enough days with just feeling like someone is trying to wrench off your shoulder blade with a hot poker, it just becomes another trifle in your day. It's a lie. I take medication to stop the pain synapses in my brain from firing. Apparently, it also makes me feel drunk, but I've been on it for 14 years now, so I don't really remember sober life. My medication takes the edge off my back pain, but it doesn't actually remove it. So I've tried various non-drug treatments through the years as well, including physiotherapy, aquarobics, and seeing osteopaths and a chiropractor. I also sat through an hour of a woman explaining how she could cure my scoliosis with a tonic made from ground rose seeds, which would have made her a witch if it worked for me, and I didn't stick around to try out her potion because I know better than to mess with the occult. I've watched enough Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know that magic needs to be balanced, and I wasn't willing to see what straight thing would have to be bent to make up for it. At least my sexuality was safe. Okay, that was awful, but come on, I couldn't let that one go. At the same time, I'm also a big fan of vintage fashion, and I spent a lot of time being annoyed at the fact that you really do need the right, period-appropriate undergarments to make your look. But it just isn't possible for me to buy a nice corset off the rack because, well, please enjoy these close-ups of my body. Clutch those pearls. This is the most exposed I've ever been on the internet. Hi, here's a brief explainer about my scoliosis. So I have two 45-degree curves. At the very top, it goes to the right, and at the bottom, it goes to the left. And what this means is that my rib cage also goes different ways. So at the very top here, it goes this way, and at the bottom, further down, it sort of slides to turn out this way. And there's a lot of muscle on the lower back here, and on the upper back here. As you can see, my shoulders are not the same height. This feels to me like I'm standing straight, but you can tell, apparently I'm not. Also here, there's a bit of a curve out, and it goes into my waist, and this side is much flatter. The different heights of my waist, you can see here and here. On this side, as you can see, my waist goes in and curves in to this little waist, comes out again. The other side, not so much. Look at this. This is my little hump, which if we look from the other side, you can see here goes straight down. This does unfortunately mean that when I'm wearing nice dresses, I have to twizzle them around, zip them up on one side and then twizzle them back. It's a whole thing, and it's really, really annoying. Other annoying things include my rib cage. Pretty flat, pretty fine. Yeah, that's good. Can wear regular underwear with that. And then, This thing, that's just my rib trying to break away. He's off. He's done with me. He doesn't like me anymore. Unfortunately, when you wear underwires, they tend to just try and cut through this rib. Another thing you might notice is with my shoulders. So I have on this side here what's called a winged scapula, which means that my shoulder blade, as you can see, comes in. That's not me having bad posture. That's just what it does. It's perfectly straight. Pretty painful. That's the worst thing about scoliosis, really. It's annoying. It makes some of my dresses look a bit funny, but it really, really hurts. And that's just rude. I said most exposed, but then I remembered this. Yes, I was on a reality TV modelling show in the late 2000s, and I promise I will one day make a video about it. But it was one of the worst experiences of my life, so I need you to promise you'll be really kind before I can work up the courage. Thanks. An orthopedic corset was something that I really, really wanted as a teenager because I read that it would reduce my pain, and no one had given me the good painkillers yet. It's the NHS, so I'm sure it would have been beige and hideous, but that sweet, sweet pain relief just sounded like a really good thing. They decided not to give me one though because I'm hypermobile and my body moves a lot, and I guess they were just hoping I would grow out of having a bent spine. They were hoping I would grow out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer too, but no, However, I'm an adult now, so I thought, why not kill two birds with one stone and get a custom corset made that would not only help my backache, but also make my vintage dresses look really pretty. And that's where the amazing Catherine of Kiss Me Deadly comes in. Well, hi, so today is the 8th of November and we are, hey Stevie. Hi. We are very excitedly driving to London where I'm going to have my very first fitting for a custom corset. Oh. Woo! Thank you for the slow reactions there. Beautiful. They're very excited too, obviously. Not really. I'm excited for you. I'm excited because hopefully I'll finally have a bit of underwear that fits my body, because underwear and scoliosis, it's a hard match. So we have come to Fairy Gothmother, which is the UK's premier retro bridal. It's a place with lots of white, very big, fluffy dresses, and some of them are incredibly sparkly, so I'm very excited. And we're actually here to meet Catherine. Hello.
Hello.
Who I first met 10 years ago.
You did. I didn't actually think you'd remember.
Oh, why?
It was so long ago, and it was a very long day. And as I recall, my only job was putting hosiery onto models
That's
that
true.
day. Which, it was a weird day. It's a long story.
But then we made Facebook friends.
We did.
And then I've just followed everything you've done on Facebook since then. I love it. Support your disabled small business owners. So we're going to make me a corset today.
We are, and it's going to be a
Not
different
literally
corset
today.
to usual. Yes, so actually sewing a corset can take anything from 4 to 120 hours, depending on how complicated you want to make it. We do a range of standardised corsets that take us about half a day to make, but Jessica needs something different because she needs something that's customised to her particular issues, which means I will not be sewing it.
It's an interesting shape, my body, so it's going to be fun.
The difference between a ready-to-wear corset and a custom corset is with ready-to-wear, you would order a standardised product and we would just make it and send it. But for a custom corset, what we will do is we'll take these measurements away. We're going to develop a pattern just for you. We're going to make a toile. Say we, it's just Lou. She will make a toile, which is like a very simple, like one-layer version of it with the steel bones, everything. Then we post it to you and we get you to either video or photo, and then also put pins in it anywhere there's a problem, like if it's gaping or it's hurting or anything like that. And then Lou tweaks the pattern and then makes the final corset based on that fitting. So it is very like traditional kind of serious tailoring, corsetry, all of that stuff. That is why it's expensive, because there's a lot of time that goes into it. Okay, this time don't forget that your body changes as you get older, so you can't just keep doing the same thing again and again and again.
Sure.
Basically, you do belong in the era where everyone had clothes made to measure.
I've been saying all along. I have been fully measured. Very excitingly, something will come in the post to me. But I just want to say thank you so much, guys. I'm very excited to see the end product.
We're really pleased to be working with you, and it's a really interesting product, like in terms of kind of the illness issues and everything for us as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Go and make sure you check out the Kiss Me Deadly website for all of the beautiful things that you do that aren't just custom.
So we sell retro-inspired and vintage-inspired lingerie, and we also sell other independent lingerie brands that meet niche needs like fuller bust or plus size.
Go. But wait, I hear you ask, aren't corsets meant to be really, really bad for you? Don't they squish your organs and break your ribs and make you faint? Aren't they also the least feminist thing ever? No, I'm sorry. You've been lied to. Women did actually do things before the current era whilst wearing corsets. And I'm not just talking about aristocratic women. Corsets were worn daily, doing heavy lifting, or working on a farm, or just living life with 9 children. Because that's what happened in the past, right? Everyone just had 9 children. Fun fact, men also wore corsets. We tend to think of corsets as being something only used to drastically change the shape of a woman's body, but that's not what the majority of corsets were historically worn for. The tension of the garments wasn't just focused around the midsection, which puts pressure on those muscles, but across the entire garment. They were all custom made to the wearer's body and designed to fit her shape rather than give her a new one. They were also great for your boobs. And I don't just mean creating a nice cleavage, though thanks every historical drama ever. What did we wear before bras were invented? Corsets. For those of us who have boobs that are on the large side, and I mean like mine are 30E or 30DD depending on the make. I'll put the European equivalent on screen now because I don't actually know what that translates to in centimetres. Voila. I guess makes my breasts small on the large scale, but this video isn't about my breasts, and also I need to stop saying the word breasts or else I'm going to get this video demonetised. It might be too late. So if your mounds of joy are on the larger side, you're probably no stranger to shoulder pain and the feeling of straps cutting into those shoulders. Ugh, you know what would help with that? A corset. Corsets were designed to distribute the weight of your melon lights across your back. Now, poor women wore corsets not only for the very practical reasons, but also to show that they were responsible members of society who were well put together and capable. Yes, because apparently if you don't wear a corset, you're immoral. I'm totally kidding. Please don't take me seriously. I'm very sorry. For a modern equivalent, think of it like wearing shoes in public now. Please do it. Protect yourself. So yes, corsets provided support for your peach orbs, but they also helped to carry the weight of a heavy petticoat, which, considering the many layers of padding and fabric worn under historical dresses, was needed. Yet, the comfort of a corset is not something we hear about in mainstream media, particularly from actresses in period dramas who complain about not being able to breathe or move. And we've seen portraits of ladies fainting, or have read books in which they were tight-laced by their maid and then could barely make it 2 steps before swooning. But have you ever noticed that they were made by men, mostly after the time of corset wearing? Women who wore corsets daily and also wrote books barely mention them because, shocker, they were just part of daily life and therefore not that notable. In our current era, the majority of people wear bras, but if I were to write a book and describe what my heroine was wearing, probably wouldn't go, "She was wearing a red dress in a shade of crimson that perfectly matched her shoes. A gold box bag was clutched in her ungloved hand as the other tugged at her simple chain necklace. Oh yeah, and she was wearing a bra." Carolina Zabruska has a really great video about this called How Victorian Men Taught Us to Hate Corsets, the Biggest Lie in Fashion History, which I'm going to link in a card above. It delves more into why our perceptions of corsets have been thrown off. When I was first diagnosed with having scoliosis, diagnosed seems like such a strange word there. I mean, you can see it. I don't really need a doctor to tell me my spine is curved. No doctor said, "You can wear this corset to ease your pain, but I should warn you that your liver will likely be chopped in half." Actual thing Victorian men said about corsets. But don't take it from me. Take it from someone who lived for many years in an orthopaedic corset. Bernadette Banner, who is a fashion historian with a scoliosis. You can watch her video on corset and scoliosis here. And as she explains, corsets are back pain relievers. Yet, in the second half of the 19th century, doctors began to claim that corsets could lead to such things as tuberculosis, cancer, and your liver being cut in half, which isn't really borne out by the statistics, because if almost all European women were wearing corsets and the side effects were that severe, how do we still exist as a population? No, seriously. For a millennium, women wore corsets and yet still managed to stay alive and have babies, sometimes 9 of them. Admittedly, a lot of those babies died, but we can blame that on disease and an inability to wash one's hands. Topical. But women's fashion has always been ridiculed as pure trifling vanity. After all, if a woman's only way of expressing themselves was through their clothes, then of course it was going to be looked down upon. It's no coincidence that at the time of the rise of the women's rights movement, there was also a rise in men ridiculing women's corsets, which were mainly made and designed by female-owned businesses. Now, it is true that wearing a corset every single day from childhood does have an effect on your internal organs and muscles, but that's how humans work. Also, pregnancy smushes your organs around too, but no one is trying to cancel babies. Okay, are you ready for the final reveal of my beautiful corset? Whilst my corset doesn't have as many parts as an old-fashioned Victorian one, it certainly supports my back and helps to relieve my pain. Because it has a crossbody tension, it allows my overworking back muscles to relax a bit and does their job of supporting my twisty body. Sometimes I feel like my body might just collapse at the right on my waist because it is so strong on my left that it hasn't built any stability, but the corset really helps with that. It's also very beautiful and makes the line of my dresses look good, which my vanity appreciates. Corsets, by the way, were never worn on bare skin. There was always a protective layer. I just want to give you an unobstructed view of it. so don't worry, I will wear something underneath. Let's see how my corset changes the look of my dresses. So, why do modern actresses complain about how uncomfortable corsets are? Because corset making is a complicated process and it takes a lot of time and fitting. It needs to fit perfectly, with multiple fittings and a process of breaking in a corset, wearing it for small amounts of time daily, much like you need to break in shoes. The most comfortable ones are the ones you've worn the most. It's unlikely that the corsets are custom made for the actresses and that they've been given enough time to break in. So there we have it. Expect to see me wearing my lovely corset, feeling much better about my backache from now on. Thank you again to Catherine and Lou for helping me to make this possible. It's such a wonderful gift and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also click the join button to become a member of the Kellgren-Fozard Club, where you gain access to monthly behind the scenes videos and a downloadable bundle and an area of the Discord board. Oh, so many goodies. Thank you again for watching and I will see you in my next video.